So I'm going to start by making some introductions and thanking everyone for being here with us today. And we're really happy to have Bryant Duhon as our speaker today. We'll talk a little bit about what Bryant will be covering here today. First, I'd like to just say thank you for being part of our educational efforts in the AIIM Florida chapter. We really feel that this is our duty, our goal, our charter, and in educating as our industry grows in a great way with new technologies and ever-growing breadth and depth of technology, that this is what we're all about, and you are also what we're all about. What makes this happen is a great group of board members of the AIIM Florida chapter. Mr. B. John Masters, our vice president, our director of social media and communications in secretary role, Elisabetta Pedersini, Aaron Dempsey as director of marketing communications, and we also have Bob Larrabee, who takes care of all things that are liaison to the chapter as a past president, and in our international reach, our liaison, Alvaro Arias from Bogota, Colombia. So great to have everyone here. So what we're going to do today is look at exactly as our title says, driving transformation past the mountaintop. And this—
Bear with me one moment. I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can just share this, so I don't show my notes to everyone.
No worries, as you need. Okay, so, but this will be a look at automation and intelligent information as everything where that direction is going around. You know, is it transformation? Is it knowledge management? Is it intelligent information? And we really feel as a chapter that that's kind of everyone to decide in their application, right? However you're doing your automation. So Duhon is a marketing guy, right, at Doculabs, but he does so many other things. And he's been a contributor and editor at previous at AIIM, the international, the parent organization, shall we say, and editor of Infonomics, that was actually a physical printed magazine back in the day, and did a little bit of a run on as a online publication. But Bryant also led InfoChat. And InfoChat was a vital source of really engaging and really has led to what's called the community forum today. But those aren't the only hats that Bryant's worn. He also has published with Document Strategy. He currently also is editor of InfoSource's Document Imaging Report. And his main goals are really covering the latest technology trends in customer communications, information management markets, there again, however you want to call that. But after serving as a longtime editor, community manager, and marketer at AIIM, he also has done work for Prospect Builder, a marketing agency that knows and dedicates themselves to the inbound needs.
Top of your channel. That was fun.
Okay, absolutely. So, so there you know that Bryant is certainly a thought leader in the industry and actually writes about it. Right? So just a little side story here, and we'll turn it over to Bryant. So digging up a little of the past, Bryant, if you'll pardon me, right? So in 2009, as editor of Infonomics, Bryant decided to propose to the others in AIIM office, and about a fun contest, as he puts it, offering $2,000 to whoever could come up with the best 60-second video answering the simple question, what is
I've forgotten about that.
right, 6 submissions. And but the neat thing is that that type of initiative really drives the thinking, and I think you'll see a lot of a different view on what you can see going forward in your automation journey, in intelligent information journey. And for those of you who are going to attend or in Denver, or however you may see the information coming out of the AIM conference this coming week, the 26th to the 29th, Bryant's going to expound on that and what to expect. So Bryant.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to be in Denver, grab me and say hi. I'd love to meet anyone that's on here. Craig, I'm still having some issues.
We'll meet you at the bar, right, Brian?
Absolutely. Still having some issues with the screen share. I can't get it to just share the presentation. It wants to share my entire screen, and I can't pull up my notes. And even though we are a paperless organization, I'm wishing I had a printer right now. So is there any, can I stop sharing? Can you see if you can get
I'm actually on mine, I'm actually seeing your full screen.
Right. So if I pull this over, are you seeing my notes?
Yeah, if you pull it over.
All right. All right. So if all right, that screws it all up too, doesn't it? Is this, how does that look for everyone? Is that small or large?
That works. Oh, no worries. Carry forward, Bryant. No worries.
All right. All right. Apologies for the issues here. As Craig said, I've been around AIM a while. Started as an intern in. God, stop it! I am so sorry. As you might imagine or may have gathered, I don't. I'm usually on the other end of these, so apologies. One thing Craig didn't mention is when John Harney, who hired me as an intern in the winter of 1994. When I was cleaning out his office after he left, and I became editor of Inform, the precursor to eDoc, and that was the precursor to AIM eDoc magazine, which was a precursor to Infonomics. I found my resume in a pile of I think it was labeled "No Way" pile. So to say that I stumbled into this industry a little bit sideways, not necessarily an understatement. So, excuse me. One of the biggest things that really sticks out to me in this industry is how little things have changed a little bit. One of the things that I noticed when as Craig mentioned, I took over DIR from Ralph Gammon right at 2 years ago now. One of the things that immediately jumped out to me as a big difference was that scanner vendors were focused on solutions as opposed to speeds and feeds when we're having conversations. And I think we'll see a little bit of, I think one of the trends that I picked up on, and I think some of you out there are responsible for driving it, is a focus on the customer, focus on making sure that they can do things with the technology as opposed to, hey, the technology is great, buy some of this stuff from us. There's also a core of very experienced and very knowledgeable people out there. Many of you are in the audience today. One of the things that I noticed that hasn't changed, well, it's all about the business fit. It always has been, always will be, and let me pull up our obligatory who we are slide here, since I have my Doculabs hat on. Doculabs has obviously been involved in this industry through writing for the magazine and speaking at the event since before I joined AIM as an intern. Very focused on process, very focused on making sure customers get the most they can out of their technology. But before I get into the presentation proper, I just want to say, if you don't take anything away from this, I think that the takeaway here for me is none of this stuff is new. We're focused on a lot of the same problems we've been focused on for 25, 30 years. Some of the issues probably go back to AIIM's origins as the National Micrographics Association or National Microfilm Association. Focus on your business objectives and goals, and the technology is just to get you where you want to go. Also, digital transformation is not my favorite word, but it suffices for what we want to do. There are multiple definitions to corral the different technologies into, ECM is one, is dead or changed or something else, content services now. But the basic need to take a document, however you want to define it, or broadly define it, and move it to where it needs to go is unchanged. And again, that's kind of keeping with the original mission of AIIM as the Micrographics Association, which, microfilm sort of the documentiest of documents, right? Other than maybe paper. And at the same time, the need for technology this industry creates is never been higher. I don't think. It's never broken through. It seems that sexier technologies like RPA, which are a little bit more limited, sucked up a lot of investment. I was happily ignored that as I left AIIM in 2014. RPA was just starting to hit, and I've been trying to come to grips with what it is and where it fits ever since. So RPA sucked a little bit, maybe investment out that some of the traditional technologies which deliver ROI and to solid ROI to companies. Maybe they would have been better served with that. The document, just keeps poking right along. So tying back into our title, we might be getting over the mountaintop. We've been that little engine that could / meet Sisyphus trying to get the toys up over the mountain to the promised land of what, business transformation or document transformation or whatever buzzword we're using that particular year or decade. But we've never quite made it all the way over. I think that's going to change. So just real quick, what we'll cover today really quickly, a little bit on automation, a little bit about what it is and what it's like. A couple of trends that I picked out 6. Some are a little bit obvious, I think. Some I hope are not. I'm going to ignore a couple of the other couple of obvious trends as well. AIIM 2022. I did a little exercise of walking through and trying to tie some of these trends into what we're seeing at the event, and then obviously we'll have questions at the end. I don't know about you, but this was a 2018 video from some German dude surfing off the coast of Portugal, and I think that's a 115-foot wave. If you've not seen the video, it's pretty incredible. But when I saw this last week for the second time, I was like, this is exactly how I feel covering the industry. I feel like that dude trying to outrace the white cap that's coming to bury me. I would imagine as someone who I talk about this stuff. I don't actually have to do it. I don't have to implement it. I can't imagine what it would be like to actually have to implement this stuff. So it's kind of the more things change. Years ago, I stole Better, Faster, and Cheaper from Mike Alsip as my annual technology prediction. It's trite. It also happens to be true. This tidal wave, it feels like better, faster, and cheaper. Well, maybe not cheaper. Keeps getting faster. And again, this is just what it feels like covering and writing about it. I can't even imagine what it feels like to do it. One of the things that I've found during my time in this industry or any industry is there's so much out there that it's almost impossible to keep track of everything, and it's easy to get lost in the trees and not see the forest. There are just tremendous number of overlapping trends affecting digital transformation, and this is just a few of them. Work from home is an obvious one. COVID, obviously, still out there, still affecting everybody, with transit delays and low unemployment, all of that comes with it. Low code is another ongoing trend across this industry as well as others. The cloud keeps getting mentioned as a trend when I see it in places. I don't know why. The cloud is, at this point, if you're not looking at the cloud as just another way to implement your technology, I really don't know what you're thinking. But again, it's mentioned as a trend. I don't think it is. And then obviously there's an ongoing data and content explosion. Hockey stick growth up and to the right to infinity and beyond at this point, it seems. I've lost track of what the actual numbers are, but they grow every time, right? So I was speaking to Bryant Duhon of Reveille a couple of months ago, and one of the things we talked about was a little bit about about this data explosion, because what Reveille does is they focus on trying to give control over all the unstructured assets within repositories in a content management system wherever they exist, and he's starting to see a shift in the attention of the need to manage this data, the unstructured stuff, instead of a way. We also both sort of discussed and remain a little bit bewildered by the reliance of business success and customer satisfaction on the ability of businesses or organizations to manage all of their documents, at the same time as then they go and they spend all their money on managing their data, which is this much of their documents, with that much of their information. So that feels like it's starting to change. So hopefully, my goal is hopefully I don't smack you with too many trees, and we see there's a little bit of a glimpse of forest here at the end of the presentation. That sounded like a much better analogy before I said that out loud. So just wanted to quickly move to the next slide, which is, the other hard thing about digital transformation and making this stuff happen is executives have, shiny object syndrome. And it seems that in the case of digital transformation, however we want to define it, it's been a focal point for the executive suite, for the C-suite, for a number of years. So doubling down on digital transformation seems that they'll be fixated on the bright and shiny object of automation and digital transformation for at least the foreseeable future. We can all hope for our pocketbooks and continued employment, right? So automation, I had never really looked at what automation was. So I just took a quick moment and looked up automation. So at the core, I think of this as the basic thing that this industry does, and the way that I've kind of always thought about it, and this is grossly oversimplified, but it's about moving a document, which is any container of information, whatever that is, where it needs to be so that some required action can be taken, store it, use it, whatever the case might be, act on it, sign it, whatever. So I just wanted to kind of take a look at the definition of automation, learn that it's a relatively recent word, at least according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Industry word salad is something that we're dealing with. I think it threatens to bury all of us under sort of a deluge of verbiage. Personally, I'm not a fan of digital transformation. Hyper automation, even less of a fan of. There's two words, they don't really mean anything. That varies depending on the context and who you're talking to. Getting rid of paper is digital transformation. Using RPA to automate a manual process is digital transformation. Tie us into this photo and the manufacturing roots of the word automation, which apparently was coined by the Ford Motor Company there. The word automation, in Industry 4.0 in manufacturing, automation is all about digital transformation. Industry 4.0 in manufacturing is all about digital transformation. So automation, it's everywhere. That said, and despite my dislike of the term, personal dislike of it, I don't think there's anything better. So what the hell, let's just use it. But as far as sort of that word salad that I mentioned, I just skimmed a little bit, and these are the few that I found. And I think I missed a couple. Intelligent, let's see. So there's intelligent capture, intelligent document capture, intelligent automation, hyper automation, digital transformation, capture 2.0, process automation, intelligent process automation, intelligent document automation, and document process automation. These words are used in various degrees by different vendors to mean sort of the same thing. Some companies will use the same word and talk about totally different things. If you're looking at I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of the RPA vendor. You know, they're talking about digital transformation and automation from the point of view of RPA. You talk to one of the guys in this industry. You talk to the scanner manufacturers, talk to a Fujitsu, or talk to an Epson, or talk to Kofax, or Abby, or Digitech, or DocuWare, or Hyland, or whoever. You know, transformation is what they do. So one of the things that I found is pay attention to the context of who you're talking to figure out what the hell they're talking about when they say digital transformation. I find this complex and annoying. So, you know, again, just beware of the word automation. It can mean so many different things. It's basically just meaning you don't have to do it manually. Today, that it sort of means digitally. It can be mechanically, it can be whatever. So just, you know, again, just pay attention to the words. Words are important. I'm a word guy, so that makes sense to me anyway. You know, and regarding the use of intelligent in front of anything, as near as I can tell, intelligent capture is a marketing buzzword. If there's anything remotely anything that can be tagged as AI, artificial intelligence, even remotely, intelligent is going to be in the product and the marketing description and elsewhere. So I kind of feel like this sometimes. I was skimming the site, and this is actually I copied and pasted from the website of one of the vendors that's sponsoring the AIIM show. I have no idea what this means. It's just a bunch of words together. If I'm someone trying to find this stuff, I don't know that this is very helpful. I can't imagine the average executive has an easy time getting through all this crap. AIM has been very good at focusing on using intelligent information management. It's kind of like enterprise content management. It's never a perfect word, but it's kind of good enough, and you got to call it something. Of course, Gartner has now filled the content services magical quadrant. So, you know, where's the industry going? Excuse me. One moment. Had my Marco Rubio moment there. So, pretty much what it means from the point of view when you're looking for a product, what all these words means, and all of that stuff, it doesn't matter. My high school football coach, when explaining to one of our stupid linemen what to do when the defensive tackle crashed on a particular play, he just screamed at the guy. It just doesn't matter. And I have to tell myself, despite my last 3 minutes talking about the words, at some level, it just doesn't matter. You need to have a common name to label the stuff. But when you're looking for a product and when you're selling to it, the name of what we call it doesn't really matter. It's what it can do, what the functionality is. Focus on the features and the functionality of what the products are, and finding a good partner to implement that for you. I have a sneaking suspicion that the continually changing terms hurt the industry's growth over the years, but you know, there's no real way to prove that. Just two quick non-usual suspects stats here. I pulled this from an automation anywhere white paper, 28 automation accelerators. It's actually pretty good. It's got some pretty good stats and pretty good stuff in there about RPA. There's lots of automation going on. I mean, that's what I'm sharing this with you for. I mean, you know that, but it's always nice to show it with a number. Another one is this one is from this group called the Shared Services and Outsourcing Network. So these are the guys that are the managed outsource providers and all those folks. And this, I found this interesting because this is their priorities for the next year. And I didn't put it on there, so I'm blanking if this is 2021 or 2022. I apologize. I'm positive. I'm almost positive it's 2022. But this is all the stuff that we do. I mean, this is, you know, it's RPA, and then it's OCRs, intelligent capture, it's process mining, it's intelligent. It's all the stuff that we do in this industry. It's a good time to be in this. It's a good time to be in this industry. You know, chatbots are even, you know, are part. I mean, there are governance issues, AIIM issues. Some of the conversations around, you know, how do you manage chatbots reminds me of the conversations around how you manage email 20 years ago. Pretty much the same. You know, it's a different. Basically, it's a different kind of document. Similar problem. What do you do with it? Do you throw it away? What do you do? But as I look at this, one of the things I did forget and I did miss, and I added this just before I got on the call today. I realized that one of the trends that I did miss going forward is there's ongoing massive improvements in artificial intelligence related to capture. There's some really exciting stuff going on there, and it's actually just really cool. And anybody that knows me knows that I am not a technology guy. And for me to say that something's pretty cool, it's got to be. I think it's got to be pretty cool. So take that for what it's worth. Like I said earlier, I wanted to point out six industry trends. Keep in mind that there's an overall trend in the background, and I think Ralph Gammon spoke to this at a webinar for the Florida chapter maybe 6 weeks ago or a month ago. The process and capture industries seem to be colliding or collapsing into one another. He speculates it's going to start happening this year. I think it might be a little bit longer. But regardless, just keep in mind, and I think I think many of you are probably living this. But at some point, I think those the process and capture industries become one, because from the process side, some of the guys like Celonis are starting to realize they have weaknesses in being able to get access into the documents that they're trying to deliver process intelligence on. Companies like Abby and Kofax also have that kind of capability. So it's pretty cool stuff. Let me slip to the next slide here. Sorry, let me scroll down. I've got to the bottom here. Okay, so I'm just going to speak to a couple of these slides, and one of the overall trends that I think has sort of trickle down effects on some of this other stuff that's going on is this IT skills shortage. I came across a couple of stats, and it was just sort of staggering, the need for talent out there. So it was from a recruiter called Harvey Nash. It's Harvey Nash Group's digital leadership report. 2/3, 67% of digital leaders are unable to keep pace with change, and also their digital transformation initiatives, which we saw a couple slides before. Everybody has, because they just can't find the technology talent. So, 60% of companies are intending to increase their technology investment in the next 12 months, and you can't find people. People are going to be losing money, and obviously progress is going to be slowed. I mean, that's all no-brainer stuff. But it also has impacts on some of the technology. This has an impact on some of the technology trends that we're seeing as well. Gartner has recruitment and retention as a top strategic priority for boards across 2022. Let me find these stats, because some of these stats are actually fairly interesting, and stats, and I know there are lies, damn lies, and statistics, but these are kind of interesting anyway. So 61% of organizations globally are planning to increase their IT headcounts to record levels during the next 12 months. 4 in 10 digital leaders say they can't keep people as long as they would like because they're being lured away by the offer of more money from someone else. Capability gaps. There's a huge gap in cybersecurity that goes back about 4 or 5 years. Even back when I was doing marketing with Prospect Builder for copier dealers. Copier dealers were experiencing a lot of issues around hacking and security around copiers. Fascinating video. Just an interesting aside, Christian Slater did a video series called The Wolf for Hewlett Packard. I think it was Hewlett Packard, talking about how cyber criminals can use copiers to gain access to do a data breach inside a company. Anyway, so obviously you have this intention. Everybody wants more. Everybody wants more staff. There's just not staff to be had. So Skillsoft is another group. They, in their Global Knowledge 2021 IT Skills and Salary Report, obviously IT decision makers are also facing a skill gap in their departments. The number that they reported is 146% increase from 2016. So 50% of them also say investing in cybersecurity is the highest priority, and it was 76% up from IT decision makers face that skills gap, which is 146% rise from just 2016. I don't know if this is true. I don't know what IDC based this on, but another interesting sort of nugget here, what it means in real world cost. They estimate 2022 predict by 2022 monetary loss from IT skills gaps reach $775 billion worldwide. So if you've got a good IT person, pay them and make them happy, I think is the message there. So moving on to the next trend, as I mentioned earlier, talking about scanners, user friendliness is big. One of the companies that these are two scanners. The one on the left is from a company called Raven that I've not spoken to yet. I've got a call to talk to them next week. And the one on the right is one of the newer scanners from Fujitsu. I'm blanking on the model number, FI something. Both are network scanners. Both have roughly comparable scales to Fujitsu's, a little bit more of a robust scanner. But the reason I put this up here is one of the things that Fujitsu's talked about, and Epson, which is also makes smaller scanners, and I think Canon and all those other guys as well, is creating good touch screens, because people want to use touch screens. It's a little bit more. It's easier. You can because you can scan directly from a device now. You want to make that as easy as possible, as opposed to having to always drive the scan action from the desktop. So just the user friendly. I'm just looking at these. Just which one's more user friendly, right? Obviously, the one on the left, the Raven scanner, has got the giant, basically tablet size keypad. The one and this is and let me step back. This is by no means to ding the Fujitsu scanner, which is an excellent piece of kit. And I don't know the Raven scanner yet. But this is, to me, this really illustrates that you've got to focus on being user friendly, whether that's your cloud or what have you. Another scanner manufacturer that makes it as easy to use as possible is Kodak Alaris. Their network scanner is basically a brick. You ship it to someone, they plug it in, it connects to you turn the power on, it connects to the network. It's got like some sheet, you drop in the sheet, does the scanner instructions, and then from there you can scan paper to the cloud, and all the processing is done in the cloud. Their timing was fortuitous, because I think that launched around the same time as the work from home was really starting to kick in from COVID. But it works. I've spoken to folks that use the scanner and implement the scanner, and they love it. The other thing that I loved about the Raven scanner is their marketing language, which is very simple and very direct. Just manage your documents, order your workplace, or workspace rather. Sorry. Simple, it's clear, it's descriptive. Scroll back up, or cast your mind back to sort of the gobbledygook of intelligent everything. It's a little bit to stumble through for some folks. Now, I thought I had found a unique angle on this about the idea of user friendliness on the buyer side. And then about 5 minutes later, I saw an article from Digitech, basically saying the same thing that I had. So once again, I thought I was smart, but someone else had got there ahead of me. So,
I'm so excited to be able to
so,
give a very brief introduction so we have more time to learn from him. I've had the privilege of collaborating with Mountaintop on several projects in the past, and I've always learned something new, so I'm sure you're going to do so today. Mountaintop is a transformation strategist with over 25 years of project management experience. He has a deep understanding of information governance and information management, and his portfolio of qualifications includes strategy development, transformation, and risk management.
Wait.
Sweet, as I said, because we want to have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I took care of it.
Are we good?
We're good, Brian.
Okay. Yep, no worries. Sorry. Let me find my place again. Yeah, so user friendliness, Digitech. So I'm just going to kind of skim through and slightly reword what they said, because it was basically what I was going to say anyway. So the cloud has changed the dynamics and the economics of technology purchasing. Everybody knows that, upfront payment to a smaller incremental monthly payments, the CapEx purchase no longer strictly required if you want to manage your infrastructure. And we're heading to another major shift in the way we buy technologies and preparing how we transition it a little bit. Deloitte, it's called flexible consumption. Gartner calls it composable. Regardless of whatever the term is, it's a move to sort of purchase a la carte. So we're moving from buying licenses and paying for everything to paying, paying for the 20% or whatever of the available features that you need. This is a pretty new trend, but I think it's got pretty big implications over time. I think it's pretty exciting if some of the larger companies like Kofax and AbbVie can start componentizing and making it easier for them to sell their stuff a la carte. They might be able to move away from some of the struggles they're having with seat licensing and things like that, and try to break into a little bit of a new market in a bigger way. I think I mangled that a little bit, but I stand by it. So the third trend I wanted to talk about really briefly is process mining, and process mining is a bugger to illustrate. So apologies for the normal boring Post-its and lines and guys with markers and stuff. It was either that or gears. So process mining isn't new, but it's gotten a lot of interest in the last 5 years. So unlike in the past, with process mining, you don't have to guess how your workflow or your process, whatever you want to call it, is performing. What's broken, where is it broken? You can discover where it is through that. I think AbbVie has process mining. Kofax has process mining. A number of the other vendors, I think Highland, OpenText, a number of other in the space do as well. There's also a number of process mining specific vendors out there. Doculabs is a partner with one of them. Celonis is one of the leading. I think they're in the Gartner. I think they're the leader in the Gartner process mining quadrant, or execution, whatever Gartner calls their quadrant. I can't recall off the top of my head. But it's a way to get down into your workflows, and is it broken, is it not, and then find a way to fix it. The interesting thing about this is I was listening to the Celonis world tour last summer, and they mentioned document capture. I think it was the president or the CEO, one of the two, in their keynote mentioned document capture as something that they were looking into, and talking about, and it just sort of ties back into my point about how nothing ever changes. if you look at the Celonis site, they've got process mining and its automation and its execution management, all of that stuff. One of the pieces of their execution management engine that they tout is the ability to do invoice processing and accounts payable. So it's a sexy new tool using the same low-hanging fruit as capture guys years ago to get their foot to the door into different industries. Actually, I misspoke. Accounts payable and invoice processing isn't how Celonis as a process mining tool is getting their foot in the door. Just wanted to make sure that's clear. Next trend is sort of look for Legos. This Lego idea comes from a sort of a combination conversation I had with Harvey Spencer. I think many of you know Harvey from his time as OCR and capture guru over the years, and now he's in semi-retirement. He started talking about this plug and play aspect of the document capture industry and having all the different pieces, RPA and process and all of this plug in together so that you can swap in and out different pieces of technologies. The Lego idea comes from a conversation I had with Bob Fresnetta of TCG Process, I think is their complete name. And their company TCG is attempting to do exactly this, and they've got one of the more streamlined strategies I've seen for doing this, of being able to take pieces of take workflow and take capture and take all these different elements and use them or not use them as the customer might need. It's pretty cool stuff. The other talking about invoice processing still is low-hanging fruit. I was also speaking to Effisoft, Ike Kavis, the president of Effisoft, and they have a cloud solution geared for invoice processing. I mentioned them because of their use of third-party tools. I can't remember which specific module it is, but if they need handwriting recognition, I believe they pass that out to Google or Amazon for their handwriting recognition pass to that, and it passes back to them. I asked him why that, and he said, why develop it when they've got it, and it's going to be better than pretty much anything that we can spend time doing. We're going to double down on creating technology that we're good at. It will allow other people to do stuff that they're good at, and we'll use it all together. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. The other trend that I was kind of hesitant to put on here, but I think it's important for everyone, is it's not paranoia if they're really out to get you, and they are really out to get you. I didn't put any scary stats or anything on here. You can do a Google search yourself and find any number of them. They're pretty freaking horrifying, and you'll start changing your password if you start looking. My favorite, and the reason I use a teddy bear here, is in 2017, an 11-year-old kid hacked into a robotic teddy bear via Bluetooth, and I think he did this at a conference. I was going by memory on this when I wrote this down. I couldn't find the article. He then downloaded dozens of Bluetooth connected phone numbers that he had used the teddy bear to scan the audience for, and then use them to somehow like hack into systems and numbers and things like that. This is an 11-year-old kid with a freaking teddy bear. You've got think about all the IP and all the documentation you've got, whether it's for yourself as a company or if you're a vendor out there selling for your customers. Security is an issue, and unstructured security is going to be a big issue as network scanning continues to take off. I think we'll probably I think we'll see an attempt of a hack at some point. It just seems all the information is in unstructured content. Make sure that you protect it. I'm not a security expert, so I'm not going to go any deeper than that. But just beware. Security is out there. It's a real thing. It's not going away. And the other thing that I learned, one of the other things that I learned when I was during my time as marketing for copier dealers, don't forget physical security. One of my favorite stories is reading an article about this guy. He was a security expert, went into a company, pretending to be a delivery guy, got in the door, camped out in an office for 3 days, and proceeded to hack their entire network. So, you know, it's important to pay attention to the bits and bytes. Also make sure that people can't just get in and, you know, an unlocked server room door is a huge opportunity for criminals. The last trend is meta work. Also hard to describe, and I wish I could have had a cat because they're the ones that get in my way here at home. I don't have a guinea pig, but this is kind of cool. I just saw this the last week, and it's Asana's Anatomy of Work report, and it said 58% of the time spent by global professionals is spent on work about work, work communications, and then 4 things that I think RPA can probably start to help with: searching for information, switching between apps, managing priorities, and chasing updates. So and let's see, so it's 58% of that on work about work, 30% of the time on skilled, meaningful work, and 9% of the time dedicated to strategic work towards major goals. Some of you may feel seen hearing those statistics. I know I did when I read those. What that means for everyone is missed deadlines, stress, means burnout. What it also means is sort of tying some of this stuff back together is all of the lack of IT, the lack of resource, the lack of IT expertise, and the thing that strikes me about busy work is one of the low code, no code is one of the responses to the lack of IT expertise. But in some ways, that's, you know, folks are going to have to start figuring out how to do the low code, no code environments in a way that's, one, governed well, and two, doesn't add to the burden of people that are already doing stuff and don't feel like they're spending a lot of their time doing actual work. So it's you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, right? Like everything. So and let me just wrap up here real quick. Got a couple more slides, and it just, how is this going to be reflected at AIIM Denver? And I've got 2 slides here. They don't really reflect anything that I'm going to be talking about. I just want to give you something else to look at here in a minute. So what the conference looks like, it looks like it always has to me. And this is weird. I think this is actually the first time I'm going to the event as an attendee. So it's kind of cool. But the conference looks like it always has. It's a mix on the spectrum from document capture all the way to process automation. Stops at records management along the way. Covers everything that it always did under ECM, going back to probably the 1980s, 1990s. And I'm not saying that to be dismissive at all. As a former staffer, I know how hard it is to try to figure out how to address all of these things while keeping all of the AIIM community happy. It's not a task that I envied them, and it's not a task I envy them now. So I dug through a couple of the sessions, and I just wanted to sort of point to a couple of the sessions that I thought illustrated some of the concepts that I spoke about. You can see the themes of transformation and automation. They're intertwined throughout. It's a mix of old and new, as I just said. Even in the sponsors, you can see this. I mean, you've got Fujitsu, who's been a sponsor for a long time. You got Lead Tools, which is a developer of oh shoot, I'm blanking on the acronym of connectors for the industry. And you've got new companies, a brand new company called I think Arvest is joining the mix, and I believe they've got an announcement of their newest product coming out on Wednesday. Peggy Winton, president, is kicking off the event. She's got a keynote that's highlighting AIIM research, focus on 4 findings that AIIM and IG pros should consider if they want to fully leverage their most powerful information to fuel their digital transformation journey and ascend to leadership positions. Obviously, I was reading that. Obviously, but it's kind of it's these trends of digital transformation and the cloud and IG. They're they're embedded throughout. So Lauren Mays is also talking about when technologies converge, innovation happiness. She's I think program director for IBM Content Services. She's going to talk about the convergence of capture and content workflow and case management. That was 20 years ago. Today, the convergence is analytics, blockchain, mobile collaboration, RPA, natural language understanding, and more. Throw in AI-powered automation in there. I think this will probably do a really good job of talking about some of these elements that I spoke on today, and probably do it in a little bit more educated fashion. All that is old is new again. And let me just switch so you can just stare at something different here for a change. This is a photo from, I don't know, 2017, 2016. That's Peggy, me, and Baron Gimmer at one of the AIIM after parties, I think. So again, I guess Peggy volunteered me to speak next week at one of the roundtables. So, and the theme of all that is old is new again. And Peggy's a very young person at heart. How I reduce my organization's reliance on paper and manual processes is an Ask Me Anything. That topic would not have been out of place in 2001. It's the basics, get rid of the paper, still important. Fujitsu Scott Francis given a presentation titled "Your Information Management Journey Begins with Document Imaging." Absolutely true. Digital transformation is driving rapid change in all business areas. Absolutely correct. And the third one is OPEX and Swiss Post. We'll also be speaking about implementing a process automation strategy. I'm going to guess based on who they are and what little bit I know from reading about them. This is going to be a digital mailroom solution. Digital mailrooms as work from home kicks in, as employees are distributed, digital mailrooms and the ability to centrally collect and distribute remotely, increasingly important. And then sometimes old is just old. Harvey Spencer is going to be speaking on document capture at the point of ingestion. And I kid because I know I love, but that same title would have been appropriate in the 1980s AIM show and conference. Just to make sure that I'm not making too much fun of Harvey. Harvey's not old school. He was toying around with calling Capture 2.0, Capture 4.0 before he semi-retired, and I'm glad he never did that. So customer focus illustrated in the show. There's a modern information lifecycle. It starts with the customer journey. I found that interesting because it combines traditional information governance with a focus on the customer and customer service and making sure that the customer's experience is always going to be good. And then the final keynote is moderated again by Peggy, and she's going to be talking, and that will talk about AIIM and business strategy alignment in a panel conversation. So, what's the uptake? What's all this mean? And just real quick, because I'm running out of time. I think little engine that could. I think we're the little engine that could. It's our time to shine. Whether on the process or the capture side, business's success is founded on the ability to find the right document. And that's what this industry does. That's what all of you do. That's what's going to be talked about and shown at the AIM conference. Again, don't get hung up on the names. Look for the functionality you need. The other important aspect of that, I think, to remember when you're looking for functionality, you're looking for vendors, is don't get hung up on Magic Wave Peak or whether they're a member of AIM or even ARMA or something like that. There are hundreds of companies out there that do this stuff. Many of them are very good, even if they're not, again, in a Magic Wave Peak Summit, or whatever you want to call them. So, don't limit yourself to those. Another answer might be staring you in the face somewhere else. It's a damn fine time to be in the industry. And I'll just end by saying, since this is a sort of a semi-conference thing, wear comfortable shoes. It's the best practical piece of conference advice I can ever give anyone. You definitely don't want to be walking around with a blister after half a day at an event. So thank you for your time, and with any time left, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Bryant. Excellent, and greatly appreciated. We know we had a couple of people that had to leave for on their next meetings, but we'll open it up for questions, and I do have one here. With regards to, the question goes, with regards to those who are the RPA companies, robotic process automation, and their different efforts around trying to provide that document processing capture capability.
Mm-hmm.
See them as becoming real forces in capture of documents or capture of electronic documents, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually still trying to figure out our RPA. So apologies if this is a little bit wrong or short. But I think RPA is a little bit, it's getting better, but it's kind of still fairly a limited technology. It does like one thing or one or two simple things, and it doesn't very well. I don't think anybody should have an RPA strategy. You should have a capture strategy or a digital transformation strategy. Lord forgive me. And if RPA can be a piece of that, or RPA can automate your processes or automate a piece of your process, that's where it's going to fit. There are, I was actually looking at this 2 weeks ago. There are a lot of RPA companies out there. So somebody there, the short answer is yes. The longer answer, how is that going to happen? I don't know.
And I would presume that, a lot of that question came from where, they've created, whether they're on bot for processing documents or document understanding, as one company has come to create it. And maybe that's just more of an agnostic version of being able to work with everyone. But capture seems to be a big deal, right? It's
capture. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I stated this explicitly. One of the things that I absolutely believe is capture is essential for any successful digital transformation process, or any process. If you want to automate it, you got to get rid of the paper. I mean, it's really not rocket science, right?
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's not rocket science.
Yeah, and we can extend that discussion. Most certainly, bots are going to do what basically liates and
I think when you start talking about, when you start getting into bots, I think I don't know. I don't know why I think of that slightly differently than I think RPA, because I think bots sort of segue into chat bots, and that segues more into customer facing applications, and that ties in that artificial intelligence, and that ties into governance, and that ties into how do you manage the pieces of information that you're going to personalize to send to the people that are using the chatbot. It's a small but a complex problem, and I think and there are some companies like there's a company called Veritone that's doing some pretty cool stuff around AI and chatbots and some and doing like customer sentiment analysis on call-in centers and things like that.
And the interesting thing with all of that, we've kind of come all the way back full circle to some of the things that Harvey Spencer, that you mentioned earlier, has been talking about with regards to what is Capture 2.0 and the inclusion of voice. So when you say chatbot, that might be a bot someday saying, process this, process that, let this paid off that document. But we do thank everybody for their attendance here today. If there are any closing questions, you can unmute yourself if you wish and ask them. If not, I'll leave it to Bryant for closing thoughts, and we'll adjourn this month's webinar.
Thanks everyone for your time and attention. Attention is the most precious commodity these days. So I appreciate you, everyone listening to me, and I hope that was at least somewhat informative and helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me here, Twitter, LinkedIn, where you can find me all over the place.
Excellent. Bryant, thank you very much. And for anyone who will be in Denver, we'll look forward to seeing you there and continue our conversation on taking transformation past the mountaintop, because basically we will be at the mountaintop.
That's right. Driving down the other side.
Have a great rest of your week. Bye now.
Bye, folks.